On this episode, Brian and I discuss the Dallas Cowboys, what's going on with Dak. Dallas Mavericks, do they suck? And Texas Rangers making moves. Play the music. Welcome to the Goal Line Fade. I am Zach, your host, with my RB1 Brian, and it is go time. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Dallas Cowboys coming off a big win versus the football team. Very much were in control of their divisional destiny, and now even more so in control. Talk about the Dallas Mavs and their struggles, and we're going to touch on the Rangers finally spending some money. And is it worth it? You know, that's kind of what we're going to discuss. But before we get, started, Brian and I are going to kind of talk about what's going on, what's been up with us. We've taken about a month break. We're wanting to get a good holiday episode in before we break for the holiday next week. And then we'll pick right back up where we left off for the Cowboys playoff push. So, Brian, what's up with you? How are you doing, man?
Good, man. Getting ready to go out of town before the holidays. Headed to the city by the bay, San Francisco.
Sunshine.
Yes, indeed. Going to, roam around and take a look at human feces in the streets, which is a real thing. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it is legitimate. You will see human poop in the streets. But aside from the human poop in the streets and just the overall homelessness problem there, the city's amazing. So I'm very excited about that. Got a cool trip going on.
Cool.
Other than that, man, same. Another day, another dollar, grinding away. How about yourself?
Not a whole lot's been going on, man. Tara and I, my wife, we just got back from Puerto Vallarta a few weeks ago, and it was amazing. She actually her boss couldn't go on this trip, so we got to go. And it's one of the rare occasions that is a +1. That was a work event. Most of the time she goes and I'm not able to. And pretty cool. The last night we were there, like randomly, Sugar Ray was the musical guest. Like, just out of nowhere, performed for like 2 hours for 80 people. It was freaking badass. Dude's a goober, so that was fun. So good times. But no, man, not much else has been going on besides that. Funny story. We had a ugly sweaterish kind of neighborhood party on Friday. So we have a cool group of neighbors that we hang out with, and he had a game night. They're such great hosts, right? They had all these games going on. So the first thing was you had to throw darts, right? And the rule of the night was whoever was the shittiest person at darts had to wear a name tag that said Shitty McGamerson. Right? I mean, everyone had to call them that the rest of the evening.
Nice.
And told you by your name, though, you had the power to make the drink. So guess who the shittiest dart player was? It was me. Yeah. So I'm, calling people out all night long when they call me, Zach instead of Shitty McGamerson. And what sucked the worst, though, is, me, I like to party. So I'm like, I'll do one with you. Take a shot, take a drink. A little inebriated, but it was fun. It was a good time overall. Besides that, really hyped for Spider-Man coming up.
Yes.
I've just rewatched the Spider-Man timeline for the MCU. I didn't go back and watch Maguire or anything, but I watched Civil War, Spider-Man Homecoming. Yesterday, I watched, when I realized fantasy football was wanting to be an asshole, I decided to turn it off. And after the Cowboy game, I watched Infinity War and Endgame. And then tonight, I'm going to watch No Way or Far From Home. And then Thursday, Spider-Man in 4D at the Wiley B&B by my casa. So I'm pretty pumped for that, actually.
That's cool. That sounds awesome. Yeah, it looks good. I'm very excited. It's going to be, this is one I've been looking forward to for a little bit.
Are you watching Hawkeye at all?
What's that?
Are you watching Hawkeye at all?
So I'm about halfway through the 3rd episode right now. We dove right in as soon as it started, and it's okay. It has not grabbed me. It is my least favorite of the live action Marvel shows on Disney Plus thus far. I'm not out on it by any stretch. It's just I've loved all the others so much
because it's my favorite. But I've heard this. The individuals who like WandaVision and Loki especially the most aren't as high on this show because it's more deemed reality. One quick thing because we're nerds too. Before we get into the foosball, did you notice the fat ass white man's hand who touched the? Do you speculate who that is? On episode 3, you're on Echoes, right? With the deaf girl, correct?
I'm like, no. I'm like, seriously, maybe 10 minutes into the first or the third episode. So I have no idea what you're talking about.
They show the little deaf girl at the beginning?
Yes.
You missed it then. So for everybody else who's listening and for Brian, in the comics, Echo is the adopted daughter of Kingpin.
Okay. Hence the fat hand.
And if you watch the episode again, they're talking about her uncle.
Uh-huh.
And fat ass white hand. They keep mentioning them, so I'm thinking they're introducing the Kingpin. Because they're in the hell. Hawkeye's happening in the Hell's Kitchen area. So
I really hope, really hope that they use Vincent D'Onofrio from when he did it on the Daredevil series. Because what's the guy's name? The guy who runs the MCU. I can't remember his name.
Is that right?
Yes, that's it.
Feige.
Feige. I think it's Feige.
Work here anymore? Something like that.
Something. Anyway, he said in an interview, because I'm a huge fan of the Daredevil series from Marvel. I mean, from Netflix, MCU, and some of the other ones in that same the Hell's Kitchen thing you got, like you said. And he said that if they do decide to, there's no plans right now, nothing in the works, but if they do decide to reintroduce Daredevil into the MCU, the Irish kid who played him will be playing him. And I wonder if that goes for Vincent D'Onofrio as well. Because I thought Vincent D'Onofrio did very well.
Well, they made it official within the last 10 days that Daredevil is a thing. They don't know when they're going to introduce it. I still think he's going to be introduced in Spider-Man, by the way.
Yeah, which makes sense.
But he for sure is going to be, that is the actor they're using who was on the Daredevil show. And there's another rumor that came out yesterday that he'll be donning the yellow version of the costume. Because it won't be as gritty. They can't make it rated R. The rumor is they're going to want to put it on Disney Plus, but it's going to be a different universe version of all the same characters. So we'll see. We'll see what all happens. This is all being speculation, right? But
it would be really cool if they would on Disney Plus come up with like an adult setting, where you can so they could do rated R stuff, because
it might be Hulu, dude. Honestly,
whatever. I don't care what it is, but I know they do what?
They're the same company. Have you seen Hit Monkey? Do you know what that is?
I know what it is. I haven't seen it. I know.
I watched one episode. It's violent as hell. It's a Marvel comic. Jason Sudeikis, voices the hitman, and it's a monkey who's murdering people as a hitman. It's interesting, but it's Marvel, and they also have another cartoon as well on there, but neither here nor there. So I think that would be the way around it. But that's such a big, I don't know, man. I think they'd want to bring them. Who knows, man. We'll see where all of it goes.
It would just be cool, because I'd also like to see them reincorporate Punisher again and have John Barenthal play the Punisher, because I thought he did a great job as Frank Castle.
Sure. No, they yeah, for sure. They just wanted to unify everything. That's the reason why they canned it. It had nothing to do with them not doing a good job of representing the Marvel brand properly.
Yeah, they wanted it under one banner in one location, or as much of it, which I get, and I'm totally fine with, as long as homegirl who did Jessica Jones, she did a great job. I thought that was great. My only caveat to the entire Netflix MCU, which is everyone's problem, which is Iron Fist. I think he was totally miscast. The show was awful, and he ruined the Defenders. When they did the season of the Defenders, I thought that was terrible because of him. But anyway.
Yeah. Ugh. So let's talk about some baseball right quick. Real quick.
This is a sports podcast.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot to talk about as far as baseball goes. They're it's not strike.
Yeah.
Is it?
It's a strike.
So, well, who knows if we're even going to get a baseball season, right?
Yeah, I mean, right now, rough estimates are saying that spring training right now, based on they're saying that it's not going to be surprising if spring training gets pushed back a month or two and we end up with a shortened season.
Kind of like the COVID season. It started June.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
we got, okay.
Which
And
look, I know baseball has been around since God was a boy and 162 games. I would not be upset about a shorter baseball season.
no games as opposed to 160. Well, the only issue becomes, well, no, and you know what? There's playoff basketball going on then, and there's playoff hockey. So it kind of lean up to it because June's where stuff ends. So the timeline of a sports fan is you're kind of going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as there's just not some lull without anything, then,
right.
So get started, at least have spring training start no later than June and we're good.
Right. So you and I were texting when these were rumors of what was going on with the Rangers. And then we texted when they signed Simeon. And Marcus Simeon, I know of him. He's not really like a brand name player. I know of him because of my fantasy sports, playing fantasy baseball. He actually set the record for home runs for second baseman last year at 45, which is awesome. Obviously, the Blue Jays had a very, very good season for being such a young team with Biggio and Vlad. Finally, he was getting labeled a bust there the first 2 years. He finally, performed like an MVP. And here he is. He bet on himself. The one knock on the guys is 31, I think. And his best year was last year on a 1-year prove it deal. And it's a 7-year deal. Now, he did sign here because of the 7-year deal. Other teams were offering around the same for 5 or 6. So the Rangers did overpay to get him here. But the rumor was the reason why they did that, it was 100% going to equal one of the next 2 guys we signed. It was either going to be Trevor Story or the individual the Rangers did sign, who I think is an overall better baseball player, Corey Seager from the Dodgers.
Yeah, he is, no doubt about it. To me, he is a better baseball player. He's younger. The big knock for him has been health. Right. I think he's only had 1 season in his whole career where he's played more than 150 games.
2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Yeah, and last year up and down. But I still really like the move. I think he's a terrific player. Terrific player.
Hey man, Trevor Story. I like Trevor Story. The issue I have with Trevor Story is the ballpark.
Yeah.
Look at the splits. He's still a tremendous shortstop, but if you look at the splits, it's a very real thing. The amount of uppage in hitting from Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's one of those. That's a factor you have to consider if you're signing any offensive player from Colorado. It is what it is. And also the other issue I had with Trevor Story is for what we would have to pay to get him in here at his age, and the fact that my biggest problem, I guess, is his defense. Right, he's a solid defensive shortstop, but he's not going to win a Gold Glove. And at his age, in the next, I would say probably 2 years, you're looking at probably moving him to third base. And we have a couple of guys in our farm system right now that project to be, yeah, absolutely. Young is the name everybody knows, but there's a couple of guys below him that all project to be terrific. If it works out, obviously it's a roll of the dice, but they project to be terrific third basemen. And the last thing you want to do is interfere with that.
So Cole Calhoun was another signing. Not too excited about that. I think people know who he is. He's been around for a minute. John Gray, though, is the one that I'm kind of focused on. This is the exact opposite effect of the Rockies.
Yeah.
He has been a very good pitcher for a while now, and he's been an ace pitching in Colorado, which is very, the velocity and the atmosphere there.
It's a hard thing to do.
It's pretty impressive, and that is a good signing. The Rangers, the pitching in general, especially their starters, last season, as dumpster fire of a year as it was the right spot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We he had no middle relievers or closers, but as far as starting baseball goes, if our guys could go 5 or 6 innings, we had a good chance to win because they were all right, man. So this to me is a huge signing because I like our starting 4 and 5 right now. I like them a lot.
So do I. I'm right there with you. 100%.
You know,
and it's
the rest I don't know, but right now as far as starting goes, it's very good.
absolutely. And like you just said, there's once they get the lockout settled, right? Then we can kind of finish free agency because it happened right in the middle of free agency.
Right.
So a lot of the really big names, not all of them, but a lot of the really big names went ahead and got picked up and got their deals squared away before the lockout started. But there is still a ton of players out there on the market, and they're not supposed to be, but they're negotiating right now. So
sure,
as soon as the lockout is settled, we're going to hear deal. It's just going to be like one right after the other. And I just, I hope that the Rangers ownership, because they spent an incredible amount of money in a 3-day period, I really hope they don't get gun shy, because if this is it, if we're basically done, then unless some of the younger guys on our team take huge, and I mean huge leaps,
which could happen.
It absolutely could, but betting on it's probably not a good idea.
If it's relying on guys taking a leap, this team's still 2 or 3 years away, and they have a lot of money to win now. You spend money like that, that means next season you're pushing for playoffs.
Yeah,
my opinion. So that means they're not done, and they got to keep adding. Otherwise, man, fans aren't going to go. The fans are already. I mean, that ballpark is one thing. Everybody wants to go check it out, wants to experience. But once you did it, it's like, man, that's a far drive. It's a lot of money. Everything's really expensive. How are you coming,
Yeah, you get 1 year of shiny new ballpark getting people to come in with a terrible team. That's come and gone. Right. If this upcoming season team the record is anywhere near what last year's team was, it's going to be really rough on their budget. It's going to be really, really rough on their budget. But I actually have a little bit of faith. I don't know why. I don't have a logical reason to tie to it, but I just kind of have that feeling that maybe they're not done yet. And I don't think we'll make the playoffs based right now just on my gut feeling and what we've done. But I do think we will be playing meaningful baseball in July and August.
That's good. Hey, man, that's all you can ask for right now, because they haven't been. It's been over around 4th of July. It's not been something you pay attention to after that. Training camp starts for the Cowboys, and the Rangers go bye-bye if you were halfway paying attention before,
100%. Yeah.
All right. So let's transition to the Mavs now.
Ugh.
Do they suck?
They suck right now. I don't know if they suck, but right now they are sucking. How about that? Yeah, it's a bunch of things. Some of them are not new. Some of them are. Once again, Luka came in out of shape.
Right.
He's still out of shape now. He's still not, and it's not going to be for a while.
And he's hurt his ankle. They gave him like a week off. I think they shut him down for this week.
Yeah.
They're 7th place right now at 13-13, tied with the Nuggets. The Nuggets are also 13-13. We're 2 games above the Timberwolves that are 9th.
Here's I think a couple of things that we have to think.
4th, by the way, which is where they were a week and a half ago.
Sure. And here's a couple of things I think we have to keep in mind or be mindful of. Number one, there are a number of players on this team that are shooting well below their career averages from 3, from the field, from just across the board, just shooting poorly.
Did you see that Tim Hardaway stat? He's missed like 20 of his last 23 3-pointers.
Oh, dude.
Before last night's game. I don't know if that changed. That was a stat I saw. Or was it Memphis they played last night?
I think so.
Top of my head, but before they won last night, but it was before that, so he might have done better last night. I know Brunson did very well.
Yes,
it's bad. Like Bullock,
ooh,
He looks it looks like the same situation that happened with Josh Richardson all over again.
Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but it was a former player, and they were talking about why is, take Luka out of the equation. Why are so many players on this roster shooting below their career averages? And this person's point, again, I wish I could remember who it was to give him credit, but it's a valid point, I think, which is a lot of these guys, for the majority of their career, take KP out of the equation also. The rest of the team, for the most part, has always been their role, and on any team they were on, not just as a Maverick, but the guys that are new here have been catch and shoot guys. And while they are still doing some of that, they are also being asked to create and dribble and do some things that they're not necessarily used to and comfortable doing. And oh no, it was Bob Voulgaris. That's who it was. Bob Voulgaris was talking about this.
Right, him and got into it on Twitter.
Yeah. Before Cuban told him that he doesn't know what he's talking about, and that he's never played basketball, so he doesn't take his opinion seriously, which is a good thing to hear after you hired him to basically be your GM.
Analytics.
Probably should have thought of that before you hired him, not after, but whatever. Right. But yeah, basically that they're being asked to do things prior to their shot going off that they've never been asked to do before at this level, and it is negatively affecting their shot. That's part of it. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, I've gotten to the point where I don't watch every game right now because I just can't do it. Like, that's not. I've been a Mr. Watch every Maverick game for my life.
I was gonna say I've known you for a decade, and I don't remember a time where you didn't consistently watch, I don't know, like 75 out of 82 games.
Yeah, like a Friday night date night, I'm not watching, obviously, like that. Man, it's frustrating. They're just not a good team. They don't play defense, and when a team doesn't play defense and you can't shoot, you're not going to win. This team is still structurally built. It's still the team that, quote unquote, Carlisle built, if that makes sense. I'm not saying he built the team, but as far as high 3-point shooting, not really posting up, not having a lot of these factors that a lot of other teams do, it's still that core. When, the offseason changes happen, and listeners new and old can go back and check the podcast. I was super pumped for bringing in Nico and bringing in Kidd, because Kidd was a player's coach. I thought that's what was going to happen. And then Nico, I just think it is a good basketball mind from what I've heard and read up on him. He, in one offseason, can't change that. My fear with Kidd is he's trying too much to be a player's coach. All of this negative publicity that he's had, that's happened in this Me Too world that we live in now. And then the book came out about some of his Milwaukee and Brooklyn happenings, people talking about that. I think that he's overly trying to be more of a player's coach than maybe he is really naturally. And it's kind of like the Bill Parcells to Wade Phillips situation.
Yep.
Where the team, and the only difference is that Bill Parcells built kind of a mini fucking juggernaut there.
Oh, that, yeah. Moment. If he'd have stuck around one more year, we would have won a ring. But go ahead.
And the difference is here is that Cuban and the GM, Donnie and Rick, what they put together was a team, if it's runs on all cylinders for a night, could fuck around and beat anyone, but not in a series. Because they're that good. If everything went right, they could beat you, but just not every single game, right? And we still got that crew, but now they're loosely coached. Once again, Lucas Waite, situations like that. So they're going to shake it up. It's going to happen. I don't know when. I'm hoping soon. Trade deadline comes awfully quick, right? The hope is they can hover just a little bit above 500 basketball, put it together and surge. If you're trading big pieces in season, you're automatically not competing for this season. The Mavs, when they won the championship, when we traded made the Washington trade, we sent Josh Howard away and got Hayward and everyone else. When that happened back in 2010, the next year we won a championship. That team played together for that 25, 30 games. And then in the off season, we brought in Tyson Chandler, and then the buyout date, we got Peja up in here. It added all those. It all just worked, right? So it's unfortunate to me, and that's why I'm not paying attention as I see the writing on the wall. I'm not investing my time into this brand of Mavs basketball. When they make moves, which are coming, I think I'm going to be more heavily invested into seeing what is coming and what's happening to see what they're going to move on to next year. Because in the NBA, if you're not a top 3 team, you're not really taking advantage of the buyout market, and those are the teams that win the finals at the very end after the trade deadline.
No doubt. Absolutely. Yeah. Here's something else, and it kind of goes to what you were saying, but a slightly different angle on it. I think the other problem is, and to go back to the Bill Parcells, I think it's a perfect analogy for what I'm trying to say. But before Bill left, when he first got here, when he took over, he wanted to run a 3-4 defense, but we were not built for it. So
Right.
He didn't run a 3-4 defense. He kept Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator, who was the DC when he took over. He kept him in place and kept that scheme in place because that was the players that were here, and slowly transitioned it to a 3-4 team after we drafted DeMarcus Ware and we drafted. Anyway, the point I'm making is I feel like the team that was here, that Jason Kidd inherited, was very much built around a system that Rick created for these players. Rick, this was not originally the offense it's not the offense that Rick ran when Dirk was in his prime. It's a totally different offense.
His basketball mind. This is what you're going to give me. This is what I'm going to do.
Exactly. And I think the problem is Jason Kidd came in and is trying to run a completely different, not just a completely different offense, but a totally different style of basketball with a team that is 75 to 80% built to run Rick's system that was here before. And I don't feel like I have no problem with him wanting to transition to it, right? But you have to do it in stages. You have to, and I don't feel like he's doing that at all. That's my only other thought.
He's doing a poor job, and it's 26 games in now, and he's doing a poor job of 10 games in. I'm fighting for you. I'm saying we're a quarter through, more than a quarter through now, and it's just not working. Now, can they figure it out? Absolutely. They're not going to figure it out and be a good team unless they make a move. And I don't know what that move is. I'm not going to speculate on that move. I mean, you go on Twitter and it drives my fucking head insane.
Yeah.
Of anything, it's like, oh, I'm sure the Mavs can. No, they can't. That you have to get really, really, really creative. Like, unfortunately, Brunson is going to be the one that has to go if they're going to get a good player in. Like that is the best player on our team that is not Luka, in my opinion. Although KP has played so much better this season overall than he has. It's those two together is what is to a haul of players in, and then Luka's got to learn to play with them. Luka he's an adjustment, man. He's a different kind of thing. I don't think you just trade for 3 guys, bring him in and they're championship contenders. It's an off season. It's him being committed, which he's still not. And hey, man, he's 21 years old, whatever, dude, 22 years old, but he needs to get up off the pot about this because older, it gets harder and harder to stay in shape. Really.
Do you remember in the off season, I said I kind of wish that Luka would get hurt for a year so we could get a nice high draft pick.
Right.
I obviously I still don't want him to get hurt right now, but what I do, this is kind of the same thing. What I mean by what I'm about to say is kind of the same thing. I kind of hope, because for me, for the most part, I've accepted that this season just isn't going to be it. Right. Like I didn't think last season was going to be it, but I did think maybe we could go win a playoff series. I was excited about the growth. I don't think we're going to. Yeah, exactly. I think we're going to be lucky to make the playoffs. Barring a trade and surge.
They probably will. Like, I'm looking at it right now, dude. If you look at what's below us, they're going to be the 7th or 8th seed, easy.
Okay.
I mean, they're just a shit run organization.
They
okay.
are.
Let's say the same for the Kings, right? Even though they have youth, they're doing a little bit better, but they don't have it, man. The Trailblazers, CJ McCollum's gone now. I mean, the Spurs, it's a rebuild mode out there, and then the Rockets, need I say more, right? These are the teams that are below us. So the Nuggets is the only team that's tied with us that could overtake, in my opinion. Even if Luka misses like 2 weeks with this shutdown, I think that maybe we could fall below the Kings or the Trailblazers, but I think we could go right back.
Okay, fair enough. I'll grant you that
being a top 4 seed is done.
Oh yeah, no. And I think personally, that meaningful playoff basketball is highly unlikely.
Sure. We'll be at this rate, they're in the play-in.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to dominate that probably and win the play-in game to get into there and then have a series. The problem is you're going against the Suns or the Warriors and you're getting mollywopped.
Yeah, I mean, that's a best case scenario is it's over in 5. So what I would rather see happen than either any of those scenarios is that the team bottoms out a little bit more and we don't make the playoffs. And it not just for the draft pick, but more specifically, I hope it's a reality check to Luka, because somebody, I don't know if it's going to have to be Jason Kidd or somebody he plays with or Mark or somebody, I don't care who it is, but somebody that he will listen to needs to go to him and go, look, man, if you are content being this good where you're at right now, and this is as good as you ever really want to be,
right,
then that's fine. Look, you are still right now, even out of shape, you're still a top 10 player in the league. That's an incredible thing.
The reckoning, what you're saying, the reckoning's coming, because I'm telling you right now, no matter what happens, in my opinion, it can't bottom out to miss the playoffs with the group of teams that I mentioned. It would have to get like real bad. But I'm telling you right now, Luka, in the 2 times he's been in the playoffs, is versus the Clippers, and both times they were engaging and great series, right? You are not having that versus the Suns or the fucking Warriors. No, it's over.
No, they will destroy you.
That is a kick in the freaking, like, that is like that just might be what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, maybe getting swept in 4, getting swept by the Suns or the Warriors would be what does it. But I don't care what happens. I mean, I don't care why it happens. All I care is that it happens. At some point, I would just want him to come. He doesn't have to be Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan dedicated. Just, how about just like Dirk level committed, right? I'm not going to drink a bunch of beer and eat ice cream.
It's just a weird situation, man, too, for like, look at Jason Kidd. You don't be one that fucks it up. You don't want to be the guy that makes Luka leave. And he's like already on eggshells about that, because this is like, it's like the Lakers, man. You had Kobe there for so long, and it's just like you try to, like, it's like you're always trying, like the team the Lakers have put together this year is so funky. And it's like you have a LeBron and you're just trying to put something. You're not even thinking about the why. Why would this work? You're just like, hey man, if I throw enough has-beens together that are over the age of 30 that know how to play basketball, it's going to work. And it hasn't. So I'm intrigued to see how this plays out and us keep talking about it. So we talked about the Cowboy parallels, and we're talking about Bill Parcells. So let's talk Dallas Cowboys now, shall we?
Yes, let's.
I think Micah Parsons is going to win Defensive Player of the Year.
I think he should. I don't think he will, but I think he should.
Oh, it's so close. Defensive Rookie of the Year is already won.
That was done in week 10. It's not even close. Like, literally not even close. There's no one remotely near him. But the problem with Defensive Player, for those who don't know, who are listening, there's only been one player in the history of the league who won Defensive Player of the Year as a rookie, and that was Lawrence Taylor. By the committee, Lawrence Taylor is one of the, like, there's a handful of players in the history of the NFL that generally speaking, you don't compare other players to. You know what I mean? Like by comparing him to that player, you are stepping on a landmine almost, because it's a sacred thing. Lawrence Taylor is one of those players. And so I think the voters for Defensive Player of the Year aren't going to do it for that reason alone. I think he should. A lot of people are pointing to TJ Watt. A lot of people are pointing to Myles Garrett. They're having great seasons. Of course they are. They always have great seasons. What he's doing is different. It's a totally different thing. And I think the tear that he's going to go on for the next 4 games, now that he's got running mates who can actually do some shit with him,
yes,
it's going to be stupid what we see this defense do over the next 3 to 4 weeks.
And I, just to kind of to continue talking about the defense. So first off, we're coming off of a stretch of very, very poor Dallas Cowboys football.
Yeah.
In fact, my man Dak, that game-winning touchdown versus the Patriots to CeeDee Lamb where he got injured, there hasn't been a pass that beautiful since from the man. Constantly overthrowing people, making bad decisions, not connecting on third downs when we need it, losing games. The one thing that's kept us in games, and really the last 2 weeks specifically in these 2 wins, man, versus the Saints and then yesterday versus the football team, our defense playing next level good, like win a championship kind of good. Now, the problem with that is if Dak can't get right, I'm not sure that this team can hang with the other teams, and we'll get in that in 1 second.
Yeah.
The thing that really excited me yesterday is that my boy Neville Gallimore was back.
Yes, that's my dude.
We were very excited about him in the preseason. We were hyping him up. We were talking about how he was the best player in camp, and he tore his bicep. Is that right?
Dislocated his left elbow.
And then he just got back. He was activated 21 days ago. He's been practicing. He's back now. And boy, was it evident how good of a run stopper this guy could be yesterday. Antonio Gibson, in spite of me trading him to you in fantasy football, has went on a hell of a tear this last month. And got so good, he was the 5th ranked running back in the league coming into the game and had like 20 yards of offense.
36 yards.
Yeah,
And by the way, speaking of Neville Gallimore, did you see the sack that he got, that bull rush that he did? Dude, yeah. It was brutal. That was one of the sweetest, most beautiful plays of the entire game, and nobody's going to talk about it because there were so many other incredible plays. And to people who don't watch a lot of football, it just looked like a sack. But
get over. I mean, Gregory had that amazing interception. Micah Parsons, 2 sacks, right?
2 sacks, forced fumble, almost an interception.
Diggs completely blanket shut out McLaurin for an entire half until the concussion. Just so many great performances on that side of the ball. The defense is not the issue, and that's exciting, man. I mean, and the good news is right now with the stretch of football that the Cowboys are playing, it's Giants, football team again, the Cardinals, then the Eagles, right? They are in control. The only game the Eagles are wild card. Who knows, man? But I know this. I know the only game I'm concerned with is the Cardinals because what I see, let's talk about offense now, is a team that can't run the ball now. And that hey, man, Zeke shut a lot of haters up there that first 6-7 weeks, but damn it, he is not right. He has that injury, and now Pollard has a torn ligament in his foot as well, right?
Yep.
Oh, and Corey Clement, man, hey, I give it up to him, man. He was running hard yesterday, just not running good.
Here's the thing. The problem, first of all, the problem with the running game, Zeke's injury is definitely part of it, right? I'm not going to say it's not. But the bigger problem with the running game, there's two other bigger problems with the running game besides the health of our running backs. Number one is our offensive line is not run blocking anything. Nothing. Right. Since they made the change to Connor McGovern, the penalties have gone down, but run blocking has been non-existent. Go back and look at the Thanksgiving game, right? It was just okay. It's actually there's 3 things because it's the line isn't blocking, right? I blame Kellen Moore for a lot of it, because he's calling the same 4 run plays over and over and over and over and over again. And they're all right up the middle, right at the A gaps. And we're not getting, that's the weakest part of our offensive line. We're not getting anywhere with it. And then on top of it, Dak isn't playing well enough to make anybody have to back out of the box. All they're doing, defenses are sitting in a too high shell to keep us from going deep. And then they're crowding the box so that we can't run, because they know that Dak's not going to take the intermediate stuff and he's not completing it. And our timing passing game is terrible right now.
So the best thing for Zeke could be we lock this thing up where I know we won't get a bye, but the final game versus the Eagles is a bye.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, maybe the best thing that could happen for the Cowboys is if the Cardinals beat us, which means there's no chance at a top seed, which means they handle the Eagles. They win this week. They win versus the football team. They go in thinking they have a chance at a top seed. So they try to beat the Cardinals, but it doesn't happen. And they can just rest everyone, because I'm not sure I know what a week would do for Zeke, because I saw he looked a little bit better at the beginning of this game.
No doubt.
Tweaked it again with an injury. He had like a weird hit, but I'm not sure a week. I think Dak, I don't think gets right until the off season. But hey, man, I've seen Peyton Manning look way worse than what Dak does. They won the Super Bowl with a good defense, just being able to make some plays there. So I'm not saying he's out, but man, for this entire offensive line and Zeke and Dak to not have to play week 18, right? Week 18, correct?
Week 18, yeah. Game 17.
Damn it, man. That would be huge. So my hope is they handle business the next 2 weeks, where technically they can just kind of throw in the towel the last 2.
See, I'm with you on some of that. I'm not, at least as of right now, based on what we've seen, I am not for resting Dak or some of the offensive linemen. I'm all about resting Zeke, right? As far as I'm concerned, I'm with you. Let's compete up to the Cardinals game, and let how that game goes, let us determine if we're resting people. But unless, basically, to me, I don't see any reason not to keep playing Dak, because right now, I have seen Dak have bad stretches and come out of it before. Even stretches this bad, maybe not this bad, but stretches that are bad, and he can play his way out of it. And I don't think that it's physical health with Dak at all.
Yeah.
So I don't think rest is going to do him any good, right? I think it's the other way around. I think he needs to be out there throwing to these wide receivers. I think the more time under center you can get him right now, the better off you're going to be, because maybe he can build a little confidence and kind of get a little momentum. Because I'm this defense, again, to you kind of mentioned the Broncos, right? This team, knock on wood, reminds me of the Giants team from what was that, 2007, right? Where they had a bit of a passing game, but Eli was Eli, so whatever. They had a bit of a running game, but not anything you could hang your hat on. But what they did have is a defense, and specifically a pass rush that could just completely wreck a game. And that
and they had to go through Tampa Bay and Green Bay and the Cowboys to go through the Patriots eventually.
Yeah, and in my opinion, even though they didn't win a championship, that Patriots team is the best team of all time, right? A lot of people aren't going to vote that way. If you were to rank the greatest teams of all time, they're certainly the best team to not win a Super Bowl. I think they're the best team of all time, and they just ran into it. Was just, I think if the Giants played that, if you could play the 2007 Giants versus the 2007 Patriots 100 times, I think the Giants maybe win 5 of them, and they happen to get one of those 5.
Beauty of football, man. You just need that one. That's it.
This defense could totally carry them if they get on a hot run. We just gotta, the biggest concern for me with Dak is the turnovers, right? It's not even the 3 and outs and the incompletions, and I can live with that with our defense playing this way. If we're going to get 3 to 5 turnovers a week and 3 or 4 sacks and whatever. Stop throwing terrible, and I mean terrible interceptions. Those interceptions are garbage.
Throw yesterday to Mr. Collins was hard to watch, man.
Yeah, dude, and the interception in the fourth quarter to random linebacker from the Washingtons, I can't remember his name, but it was just so bad because I saw what he was seeing. Dalton Schultz was wide open. He just waited so long. And he's just not the problem. He's looking for an 8-point play all the time, and they don't exist. He's always trying to take deep shots. And that doesn't work,
Well, the good news is we're coming off 2 wins after a brutal November. We're coming off 2 wins here. December's been good so far, and teams well in December generally have some playoff success. Our next games versus the Giants, and boy, do they suck. It's rough going for them right now. And then we play the football team again, and I don't see the football team figuring us out coming here. I feel very good about the next 2 games. So the Eagles need us to drop 1, yes, in order for it even to matter. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we would need to lose at least 2 games for the Eagles to have a chance. We need to lose at least 2 games, and one of them would have to be to them. Right. So we one of the 3 before them, and then to them.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Because they're at 6-7, and we're at 9-4. So the Eagles would need us to drop 3 games.
Is it 3? Wow.
Yeah, they drop the let's just say we're losing to the Cardinals. Okay. Let's just say we're losing to the Cardinals. They would need us to drop either to the Giants or to the football team, then the Cardinals, and then we're playing for the division week 17 or week 18 versus them.
Yeah, I mean, I very seriously doubt that's going to happen.
If the Cowboys win the next 2 games, that game on the last 2 games of the season don't matter for the division.
Well, I think at least one of them is, I think we're going to smother the Giants. I think our defense is just going to absolutely smother them. And then we'll kind of see. I'm not going to rush to judgment on predicting the Washington game, because if Dak can just if he can start to get a bit of a rhythm, we could beat any team in this league with the way our defense is playing. So maybe that'll happen. But right now, I think the Giants, and I'm not worried about the Giants, but I wasn't worried about the Broncos and how'd that turn out.
Like I said, right now the Cowboys are in full. They win this next 2 games, the division's wrapped up.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Or if one of those teams lose, like if Washington lose this weekend, I believe it's also wrapped up. If we beat the Giants and those 2 lose, I think it's over for them. Or no, because then they if that happens, they both be at 4 losses, and the most we could lose would be 3 if we lost to the football team, to the Cardinals, and to the Eagles in a row.
Yeah. That's all right. I realistically, mathematically, we're not there yet, but I'm not worried about the division. I'm not.
Not either. Not in the least. Honestly, with seeding right now, we'll see what happens tonight, and then I'll talk to you if I'm concerned with us still fighting for the number 1 seed. Right.
Well, and here's the other. Go ahead.
The Cardinals tonight for that to matter, really.
Absolutely. And look, barring the Rams having an excellent night tonight, for a long time I was worried about seeding because I didn't want to have to play the Rams in the first round. Right now, the Rams don't look great.
No, they don't.
I mean, we're, like I said, Dak, our offense isn't exactly, beating a whole lot of teams, but our defense, our defense would make Matthew Stafford cry.
2 quarterbacks that, in closing here, that I've seen just completely lose their shit this last 6 weeks. And this is when we're talking about Dak too, because Dak has not been good. But even more so is Stafford and Lamar.
Yeah.
And so like Miami figured out Lamar, that zone blitz, and then I forget which team figured out Stafford, but they decided to just not blitz.
Yeah, that's all they had to do was drop a bunch back in coverage.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So we shall see. But yes, we will. Just for anybody listening, all of our listeners, that's what you got to pay attention to this weekend. If you're worried about the Cowboys winning the division, watch the Eagles, watch the football team. If they both lose and we beat the Giants, we've already locked that bad boy up, which is nice. So we'll see. We'll see. Normally it doesn't happen that way. They'll probably both win and we'll win too. Honestly, that's kind of the way it always goes for whatever reason, but we'll see.
Yeah. And for tonight, Cowboys related, for those of you who, by the time this gets posted, it'll be Tuesday, but let's cross our fingers. For the Cowboys, you want the Rams to win, we're not, as far as seeding goes, hopefully maybe the Cardinals will come back to earth, a nice, terrible loss to the Rams, and maybe we can make this interesting.
Now the Cardinals did beat the Rams already.
Yeah.
And it is very, very hard, very, very hard to beat a team twice. We know this, regardless of what they look like. I'm holding a fish now. If you're watching this on camera, my dog brought it to me. So, Lulu, would you like to say hi to the camera in closing? No, she does not, actually.
Yeah, she darted behind you.
Camera shy today. So, yes, it's very, very, very hard to beat a team twice. So, I'm intrigued to see what the result is tonight, for sure.
Absolutely.
But yes, if the Rams do, in fact, win tonight, the Cowboys are in control if they win out for a chance at the 1 seed.
Yep.
Booyah.
Yeah.
That's all. Can you do that?
Indeed. Yeah, the one team, real quick, the one team I don't want to see, which we're gonna, just because the football gods are evil sometimes, is we're gonna end up playing the Packers. We will. And that's the one team. That's the team that scares the shit out of me. That team, when they are right, dude, that team is unbelievably good when they're right.
So good too, man. Good run game, good receivers.
Good everything.
Aaron owns stock of the Bears and the Cowboys, apparently. So that's a thing.
Yeah, I don't want any part of them.
It'll be a fun run, man. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's good to do this again.
Yes, it is. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This is the Goal Line Fade. And we're going to sign off now. We'll be back in 2 weeks talking about what happened on the Giants and more than likely the football team game as well. Those will probably both be over whenever we do the next recording. So we'll see what's going on leading up to the Cardinals game. That's it. I'm Zach, your host. He's Brian, and we're out. Later.
Bye.